This episode contains some sensitive material that may be upsetting to young children pertaining to certain activities around the holidays involving certain Easter bunnies. Viewer discretion is advised.
One, two, three, four.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Ontological Society podcast, the place where we talk about all kinds of high strangeness, UFOs, Bigfoots, cryptids, ghosts, everything paranormal. My name's Eric. I'm your host, and with me I have my bedmate.
I'm Wendy.
What's up, Wendy? How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
So here
Ready
we are.
for Easter break?
Yeah, Easter break, spring break. Kids are out of school.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, he's a handful.
At the least.
So weather's nice. Wind is blowing. Wind was just blowing like hell here a second ago. Sounded like it was like taking some stuff off the roof.
Yeah, I heard him screaming out there. He might be blown away with it.
Was that Gabe screaming?
Yes.
Jeez. Oh man, so this is a special episode. I was gonna try to release a couple this week. Things just kind of didn't work out, but we're coming a couple days a little late. I don't know what our schedule's gonna be like next week because the boy is out of school, so we got to see if he'll let us record another episode. But I got a couple special episodes coming up, so just hang around, check them out. But today, I figure we're going to talk about the history of Easter. Now, what does Easter mean to you, Wendy? What do you think Easter is?
To me, the purpose or Easter, aside from the kitty bunnies bringing Easter baskets that cost a fortune, might I add, means the resurrection of Christ.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So in the Christian holiday of Easter, it's their big holiday. The resurrection of Jesus, which is the whole basis of their entire religion. Um, but some of the Easter traditions kind of come from long before Christianity, because we know Christianity borrows from other religions to make theirs more uh, uh, favorable to those who don't follow that religion, especially in the early days when it was first getting started. So I thought we'd take like a little deep dive and kind of figure out where the hell things come from, because there's no Easter bunny or eggs mentioned in the Bible, but yet it's
Right.
part of the tradition. So where does that come from?
Neither is Santa, but we entertain that.
I mean, so what do you think about the Easter bunny? Where do you think the Easter bunny comes from?
I have no clue. I mean, as you get older and think about a flipping bunny walking around with like thousands of baskets to bring to all these children, is really far fetched. I have no clue where a rabbit comes into play on this.
Well, let me sit back and let me explain it to you. This is the history of Easter, not pertaining to the death of Jesus.
Okay.
So history, shit. Easter has taken its roots in Christianity and is the pinnacle of their religious celebrations. Christianity, I mean. It's the most important holiday and for its basis of their entire religion, I've already said. It's funny how I sometimes forget what I write and just
It's
reiterate
okay.
it. The death and resurrection of Jesus, a rebirth of their faith, and according to Easter traditions, an affirmation of everlasting life, not unlike the phoenix rising from its singed ashes to live again. Today, kids everywhere look forward to getting their Easter basket brought to them from the Easter Hare, which contains chocolate bunnies, colorful eggs, and as capitalism sunk its teeth into the holiday, now they expect toys and stuffed animals or just about anything that would satisfy their childish desires. How did we get here with these traditions, though? It is funny how, as time goes on, you can just see how money plays more and more into it, especially with the holidays like Easter, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day is growing. Halloween is like probably one of the most uh, financially expended like holidays of the year because so many people spend so much money on Halloween.
Well, I think people, parents, individuals are to blame for that because we we love the decorations. We spoil our kids. When I was little, I got an Easter basket that was like wrapped with tape, and the inside of it was like a big chunk of paper. And by the time you got all that shit tore off, all your candy was broke open, and you maybe had like five pieces.
Yeah. So was it Easter that they used to do the gumdrop trees? Do you remember?
I don't, but it was. It sounds like it was. I know they used to do the Easter tree.
What's the Easter tree? Is that with the
It's
eggs?
where they get the plastic eggs and
Okay.
they hang them from bushes or trees or whatever.
See, so I remember when I was a kid, and so I was talking about my grandma earlier,
Hmm.
and I remember her doing like gumdrop trees, and she would get like a tree that was like white and had all these like thorns on it, and then she would take like gumdrops that were like different colors, and we would put it all over the tree,
Probably because it's colorful to
colorful.
resemble eggs
And the
and
thorns
stuff.
of the thorn bush reminded me of the Jesus like crown of
The
thorns or
crown
whatever.
thorns, right?
So I remember that was like some of the decorations she used to do as well. Um, she loved Easter. She loved it. That was her deal. Plus, you know, she always like was those one of those old ladies that like to go to church and do like the cooking or whatever. She'd stand in there and throw out the meals and
Yeah,
yeah,
my mom would like get a carrot or some lettuce, and from the front door, like there would be a few pieces leading to the door, and then when you went outside, you could see like maybe where it was dropping it as it ran away.
yeah,
So she really played that well
that's
that,
awesome.
you know, the
Um,
carrots were eaten by the bunny.
okay, so for the answers, we need to go back to the 8th century. Now,
Gee,
yes, our only historical reference of Ostera comes from Bede. Now, Ostera is she is a goddess that's mentioned. She's like the goddess of fertility and sex, and it's where we get the name Easter, of course, from.
the eggs.
Well, yeah, we'll get there, but
Okay, okay.
but you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm trying to figure out how to say this. This guy, Bede or Bede, was an English monk, and he gave a translation or wrote like a book. It was describing about the Easter traditions or whatever. He says, and it's in his book De Temporum Ratione, which means the reckoning of time. And Betty wrote, uh, Aster Monat, which is April, has a name which is now translated to Pashalmut, which was once named after a goddess of theirs called Oestra, in whose honor feasts were celebrated in that month. And this is really the first written account that we know of that mentions anything about Oestra. And according to this monk, the month April was actually named for her, and the feasts that we celebrated were in her honor. The subject over whether this is the true origin of the word Easter or its celebration is, to say the least, a very controversial subject between the church and modern day pagans. And there is another goddess that has a less direct path to Easter, Ishtar or Inanna. Now, Ishtar or Inanna, which are essentially the same person, and they are much, much older than the one that Beta is talking about. But he's saying that like that's the first mention in literature of the pagan origins of the Easter traditions.
Okay.
It was an 8th century monk from England. Now, the name Inanna originated about 4000 BCE, but eventually her and Ishtar would synchronize and become the same entity. Ishtar is a goddess of contradictions. She embodies creation and destruction, sensuality and violence. So she's one of the first goddesses to actually be like love and war.
Typical female.
Yeah, sounds about right. Um, I was gonna say something. Oh, so Ishtar or Nana, they come from ancient Sumeria. And there's a couple like different regions. Like one's from Sumeria, and another one is from a couple other regions that were around there. but they do synchronize and become the same person, take on the same name.
Okay.
Um, the name, like I said, the name Inanna comes 4000 BCE. So they're the goddess of love and fertility. She ruled over sexuality, desire, childbirth, and the cycles of life. And as a goddess of battle and conquest, a rare for a love deity. So, like I said, it's like the first time that you get like a love, someone who's like love and war
Right.
all in one. I mean, if you think about it, I guess philosophically, love and war kind of go together. So, um,
Exactly.
the symbols, her symbols were like the eight-pointed star, the lion, and later the planet Venus, the morning star, and an evening star. As an interesting afterthought, though, I think it's interesting. Her symbol is the lion. When I've always been told that March has two personalities, the lion and the lamb, both of which are symbols of Jesus and Ishtar.
Which is where the in like a line out like the
Exactly.
lamb.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Um, so I think it's kind of funny, and those are the months that usually lead up to the month containing Easter. Um, one of the most famous stories of Ishtar is that she goes into the underworld where her sister reigns. And while she is forced to go through the seven gates of hell, or their underworld, not necessarily hell, but she's forced to strip off her clothing and jewelry. And as she goes through each one until she's reached the last gate, where she is left naked and without power. Now, this is like a symbolic meaning of losing your power as you go through each stage,
Okay.
making you weaker and weaker. And I think it's also symbolic meaning of going through the seasons. As the seasons come closer to the seventh gate, she becomes at her weakest. Once she is powerless, she will be trapped and killed, only to be resurrected with the price of sending someone else to take her place. It's believed in an ancient way to describe the seasons in an early version of the resurrection story. Now, while she is in the underworld, everything up here dies and sex ceases to exist. But upon her return, the animals begin repopulating the world and a rebirth occurs. So that's like a narrative about explaining why in winter everything is dead and gray, the leaves are gone, no animals are repopulating, everything's gone to hibernate. But then once she returns, life rejuvenates itself,
Things come back
everything
to
becomes
you.
green. You start seeing the animals come out. If you go to like, that's when like springtime is when you think about new like baby animals starting to run around the forest and stuff.
Flowers are starting to bloom.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, Also, much like the modern day Ostara or Ëostre, she is the goddess of fertility and sex. And though her name isn't linguistically connected to Easter, it isn't hard to imagine the influence on modern traditions. So you even start to see like the first traditions of the resurrection,
Right.
life and death, rebirth, a rejuvenation, which we celebrate at Easter, or Christians celebrate, whoever,
Right.
the celebration of spring. Um, so now, when spring arrives and the flowers are beginning to bloom, rabbits and hares began to appear again, a sign that sex and rebirth and new life has returned to the land. And that's not an understatement because we all know rabbits will repopulate.
Very quickly.
Oh my God, they will repopulate. I think rabbits, are, like cats, are the only like some of the only animals that can have multiple pregnancies at one time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so like a cat can become pregnant and have a is it called a litter?
Yes, a litter.
So
Mhm.
a cat could be pregnant with a litter and then become pregnant again, so they can have multiple births. And I think a rabbit can do the same thing because a rabbit, oh my God, you can have two rabbits, and next thing you know, you'll have like 50 rabbits.
Yes, yes, you will.
Rabbits are insane. Um, but anyway, uh, in Roman times, rabbits and hare would be eaten because of its religious significance. The hare was connected to Aphrodite and represented an unquenchable thirst or desire, which to me sounds like lust and sex. So the rabbit definitely did represent sex. It's the animal that repopulates the most, therefore it means the most to sex
Right.
and fertility. And it's connected to Aphrodite, who is about love and sex. Um, as far back as the 1600s, children in Germany would find eggs hidden by the Osterhase, and this tradition was brought to America by German immigrants. And
The
that's some of the.
Oostaheza, yes.
It means Easter rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Oster actually means east, so the eastern rabbit or eastern hare,
Gotcha.
which also is the origin of the direction of east, which is the sun rising, which is rebirth. It all ties together. It's so crazy. Um, Now this is funny. You might like this. In England, they would have a quote unquote hare pie scramble. I shit you not, that was the name of
Hare pie scramble,
it. Yes.
meaning
Well, when I heard that, I was like, "What the fuck?
it sounds like
Sex?"
for pies
Yeah.
with scrambled eggs. I don't know.
It was a roundup of hares to make a pie for a feast that represented scaring away the witches. This is my favorite tale of this. I love this.
Hares meaning rabbit.
Rabbits. Yeah.
Okay.
Or a type of
Okay.
rabbit. Yeah. But they would round up and eat these hares as a way to scare away the witches. Now, in Halloween and the fall and everything, you always think of the witches coming out to do their deeds. And I just love the fact that they're once the seasons change and start going into the warmer seasons, they're scaring away all the witches. I think that's such a cool thing. I just picture like
Till Halloween.
till the fall or
Yeah.
till the fall comes back, and then it's time for the witches and the little demons and goblins to come out.
I live with a couple demons and goblins.
Shut your mouth. uh, it was believed that the witches would turn themselves into hares and steal milk from their cows, but eating the hares would keep the witches away until winter. And like I said, I love the idea of the witches. The witches belong to the fall and winter, and of course, it makes me think of Halloween and how the witches come out to play. And spring is our new life and rebirth. Fall is for the witches. So the witches would come out, turn to hares, and steal milk from their cows.
Imagine that, though.
And they really
A
believe that.
rabbit stealing milk from a cow.
Yep, they believed it.
Did it like suck from the teat, or did it go in and like milk its udders? I mean,
I don't know.
okay.
Can you imagine a cow, like a hare with like its little paws, like just
Well,
milking a
no,
cow,
that's why I'm trying to envision
or
this happening.
where they just go and like suckle on a cow?
Yeah, that I could see, maybe.
Damn rabbits. In Sweden, they have huge bonfires called the Ëostre, which means Easter fire, to scare away the witches. And once the fires were lit, the witches would retreat on their broomsticks, where they will feast and dance with the devil till the winter came and they came back to return.
So, what if the witches who had turned to hares were killed and eaten?
Well, see, that's the whole point. They would try to kill and eat them to make sure to make the other ones realize that if you stick around, we're going to kill you and eat
Okay, so we're just going to try to kill down as many as we can.
you.
Okay,
Yep. Which I imagine is probably a good way to make sure they don't overpopulate too, because I'm sure
weed
they
out
will.
the
Yeah, I'm sure they would be
yeah,
thick as thieves in there. Uh, Little milk thieves, little garden thieves.
little round pellets everywhere.
That's their chocolate Easter eggs.
Yeah, shoot.
Shoo! Oh man, rabbit rabbit pellets. Um, so modern day pagans celebrate Ostara, often pairing her with a hare, and they embrace the traditions of the past, celebrate a festival that's older than Christianity. The spring symbolizes rebirth and new growth, a time when the forest begins to live again in vibrant colors and is filled with young and new animals to populate the forest for generations to come. Colorful eggs, a representation of the vibrance of color coming back to the land, and even the egg itself is a symbol of birth and rebirth. Thinking of breaking from your shell, creating new life. Uh, Once you're like your inner self is trapped within this like surface, and you have to bust through it and create new life itself. So uh, think of it like that. The ideology of breaking through the shell creates life and is sprinkled all over the season and its traditions. No matter what you believe or how you celebrate, we can all agree that the spring is time for change and it becoming a new you. Besides, it isn't every spring that we say we're going to isn't it every spring that we say we're going to change our physique, a reimagining of ourselves for the summer beach excursions, a rebirth of ourselves.
I say it every year.
Exactly. I think everybody does. Everybody's like, you know what? It's springtime. I'm going to get that beach bod going.
I have to lose this weight before we go to the beach,
Got to get this weight off me, baby.
where we've been packed in the house all winter, eating lots of food.
We don't like everybody eats the comfort food in the winter. You eat the nice warm filling meals, the potatoes and stuff, and stews and pies and cakes and everything. And then by the time the spring comes around, it's like you got to get out and get motivated, get moving, and
Salad time.
yeah. Which again, there brings the rabbit because the rabbits eat the salad. So
Yes.
you just follow the ways of the rabbit, baby. God, I don't know. It just really, I think it's so cool that they used to just have those ceremonies that like we got to banish the witches for the winter time till next fall.
Kill all these rabbits.
That's great. Well,
It's
not
terrible for the rabbits, though.
not kill the rabbits, but I mean just like push the witches away. I love it. Can't wait for Halloween.
Oh, I know.
It's my time of year when I thrive. So, do you have any special Easter memories when you were a kid?
Um, Easter was usually everyone took their basket and we dressed up. Everybody got a new outfit for Easter. We all wore our dresses or whatever. Took our basket and went out to my Aunt Petey's. And I did this for years. I even took my boys out there for years, and there would be like a big egg hunt for the kids, and she would buy prizes for whoever got the most eggs, but everybody ended up with a gift, because it's not fair for just one person to get a gift. I've just there's just been a lot of great memories out at my Aunt Petey's. Um, Everybody would bring like a casserole or a covered dish, and we would have a big Easter dinner out there.
Yeah, I remember like man, I hated Easter as a kid. It was my least favorite holiday. I just thought Easter was so fucking boring. I was like, it sucks. Oh my god, it was like never exciting like Christmas. It
I
wasn't
think
like
that's a guy thing, though.
maybe I was like, oh my god. I was like, you know, Halloween and stuff. Like you get to dress up. Thanksgiving, you get to eat and be fat. Like Christmas, of course you wake up, you got fucking presents. You still get presents for Easter, but it was like I don't know. Once you got the Easter basket, they was just like the whole day sucked. It was fucking terrible. Everything was closed. Nothing was going on.
Yeah, that's true.
There was no fucking sports on TV. It was like, oh my god, how do I get through this fucking day?
Well, boys are not as interested in like egg hunts and stuff as girls are for some reason. I know my boys never wanted to really participate. Um, they would to entertain me, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's what they would rather be doing.
I remember one time I got like my dad had got me like a baseball glove and a bat
Hmm.
and a ball because I guess the new baseball season was open. I played baseball at elementary, and so I remember like going out and looking forward to that. I'd go out and like toss the ball myself and hit the ball and stuff, and like I enjoyed that. But like I don't know, I never was a huge fan of like chocolate bunnies. Um, I like
Wow.
I like the cranberry cream eggs and stuff. Like they're pretty good. Um, but yeah, Easter was rough.
Well, Gabe loves all that novelty candy, and I think he looks forward to that more than anything else. So,
Well, I mean, the candy's changed a lot too since we were kids because it seems like the candy's gotten a lot better, especially since like really, Cadbury's kind of like I know Cadbury's always kind of been a thing since I was a kid, but like it feels like they keep growing, they keep adding more like candies and stuff, like that are more popular every year. Maybe like when we were kids, it was more just the cream egg.
sweet tarts
Yeah.
and yeah, crap like
And
that.
then now that like Reese's has got on and they make the special Reese's every year, whatever season's going on. So I mean, the candy has got a lot better.
And I'm a sucker too. I mean, that's why we roll out with $150 worth of candy for an Easter basket every year.
Yeah. Oh my god. I never forget. Was it 2, 3 years ago we got the edible grass?
Yes, yes, we did.
And that freaks me out because I just picture like 1 year kid getting it and going, oh, I can eat the grass, and then next year they get the plastic grass and they're like trying to eat the plastic grass. So don't buy the edible grass for your kids.
Well, if you remember, Gabe said, "Is grass edible?"
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that always creeped me out because once we bought the edible stuff, I was like, he's gonna eat this forever now.
and then he ate so much candy he
Oh yeah, he ate so much he puked. He Ralphed.
he has no self control.
Oh, it was the worst. It was the worst night ever too because I woke. It was like he was like I threw up, and I remember going up and there was just like chocolate everywhere, and I was like, oh my
All
god.
colors of candy mixed in the yes, it was terrible.
Yeah, that was not fun. Uh, and so you said you always got new clothes and stuff.
We got an outfit every year for Easter
Yeah,
and a basket, yes. New shoes, dress, the whole work.
I'm pretty sure I remember getting like new clothes for Easter. It's funny because I remember like my cousin and like their family, they would always get the new clothes that had the vest and the bow ties and stuff,
Oh,
and they'd
yeah, the
always have to
church
have
clothes.
the Easter photo made or whatever. I don't ever remember my clothes being exactly like that. I'm sure they like I think I got like a button up shirt and stuff. They wanted me to look like to have a nice wear for Easter, but nothing ever that extensive. Did you get the dress with the frill underneath it or anything like that?
I, I did, yes, and I
Kind of
loved it. I
like
mean,
a clogging dress.
no,
You don't talk about that have like
not like no hee haw clog, no clogging dress.
you don't talk about that the ones that have
I
like the
do
frill
the
underneath it.
crinoline underneath,
That's what it's
yes,
called.
crinoline, yes. It's
Okay.
what makes your dress poofy. No, it just might have like a little ruffle around the bottom or whatever. And I always let my boys um, pick out their outfit. And every year, I think for like years, it had been really warm
Yeah.
when we went for egg hunts. And so one year, Zach and Vince decided they wanted jerseys and matching shorts.
Yep.
So I took them to the mall, and I think Zach had Michael Jordan and then the matching shorts. Vince got Iverson, and I swear there was a Lakers somewhere. Um, and that Easter it snowed, so they did not get to wear their new clothes, which really bummed them out. But they still got a new outfit.
So if it snowed that year, what did they do instead of wearing like their jerseys and stuff?
They just wore something warm.
Now, did you drag them to church when they were young?
Never, no,
What about when you were young? Were you forced to go to church?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was. Which
And
is why I never forced mine to go to church.
what kind of church was it that you went to?
Good old Southern Baptist.
And what was the service like?
Easter was usually pretty mild. You know, the Southern Baptists are infamous for like yelling at you or making you feel guilty because you like to watch soap operas or gossip or I don't know. I guess when I was younger, I don't know that I paid a whole lot of attention, but as I got older, I don't know. We had a family member who was a preacher
Okay.
who kind of harassed us.
Yeah.
Come to church, like to see you at church.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those that the more pushed I feel, the more resistance I'm going to put up, and I'm not going to go.
Right.
Leave me alone. Let me make my own decision. I'll go, maybe.
Yeah, I'm like that too. When I was really young, we always went to the Episcopal Church, and I may have a different view on things today if I hadn't been taken away from that saying, but I kind of really liked going there because of the ceremony and
The
stuff.
mild
It was
manners.
very like Catholic like. And so you would go in and you have like priests, lay readers. They would tell like the story. You would have like you know, all the robes, people carrying like crosses. They would have like um, candlelight, and communion. It was very like organized and ritualistic. And for whatever reason, I like the ritual of it. Um, and so even though I was never a huge fan of Easter, once I was taken from that church, I did miss going to that church for a while. But then I was forced to go to the Southern Baptist Church,
Mhm.
which I hated. I did not like going in somewhere where somebody was screaming at me 24/7.
Well, Easter was usually a little mild. I don't know if you remember where, there's always sunrise service, which means
I
it's
was going to say
ass crack of dawn.
they had the sunrise service, and you had to get up like before
Yes,
daylight,
and
and
I can't stand that. I'm not a morning person.
we're in there like 4 o'clock in the morning. They're fucking screaming at you about you're going to hell, and they're like, "Let's go outside to the cemetery and watch the sunrise." You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or we one year the preacher even got on the roof of the church.
Wow.
Yes, and did his sermon on the roof. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not bashing on religions and people's like, I get it. Like, go celebrate how you want to celebrate. Do what you got to do. Like, that's cool and all, but for me personally, it did not resonate with me. I don't like being screamed at early in the morning, and I don't want to be dragged out to watch the sunrise. It's like you say, before I've had my coffee or anything like that. Like, I'm just not in the mood for it. Especially when I was a young, angry teenager. I was not ready for
You're
that
still
shit.
an angry teenager.
I know, and I'm not ashamed of it. You know, by the way, you mentioned like the it snowed the year that you got the jerseys,
It did.
and so that made me think. I forgot to put this in my notes or whatever, but Easter changes every year, and you know, I forgot. It's based on how the lunar cycle goes, and so I just pulled up some notes here on why Easter changes every year. It says Easter is a movable feast, which means its data changes every year. Or its date, sorry. It's determined based on the combination of solar and lunar calendars. Here's how it works. The rule is Easter Sunday is the first Sunday after the first full moon that occurs on or after the vernal equinox.
Okay.
Um, so, in breaking it down, it means this: the vernal equinox fixed as March 21st for this purpose, even though the actual equinox can vary slightly, which is the first day of spring, basically.
Hmm.
And the spring equinox does actually move astrologically, but not usually on the calendar.
Okay.
And so the partial full moon is the first full moon on or after March 21st. And if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned Paschal in my notes earlier, but Paschal is comes from the Jewish feast of Passover.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
the slaughtering of the lambs, spread the blood on the door, and God will bypass you and save your family.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, and the Easter Sunday becomes the next Sunday after that full moon.
Okay.
If the full moon is on March 21st and it's a Saturday, then Easter will be Sunday, March 22nd, the earliest possible date. If the full moon is on March 20th, we wait for the next full moon, which could push Easter into April. And the earliest possible Easter could be March 22nd, and the latest possible Easter could be April 25th. So that's pretty interesting.
I feel like I remember Easter's been mainly in April.
It's
There's
been,
a few times I remember it beginning in March
yeah.
or whatever, but I always feel like it's mainly in April.
I imagine because it's based on the lunar cycle, it's probably like every 12 years or so, it moves back to March. I would imagine how that works. So that's kind of interesting.
Because it's always usually around like Zach's birthday.
Yeah. Um, have you ever seen it snow on Easter?
Yes.
Oh, you did say it snowed, though.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why I just asked that, but I knew that. What do you uh when you were a kid? Did you get to go see the Easter Bunny as well?
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
the Easter Bunny is always it's always like the visit to see Santa Claus. It could be traumatic or it could be the greatest ever.
Well, you remember the college used to have a big Easter egg hunt every year,
Yeah,
and he would be hopping around.
yeah.
Um, and they would have, that huge campus.
Yeah.
They would have a big egg hunt out there.
So was that the only Easter egg hunt that you went to?
No, my Aunt Petey's. We had several.
Tell us about that.
Um, well, like I said, we would all bring like our eggs that we dyed, and then we would put them in up. Everybody would put their eggs in like one pot, and the grown-ups would go outside and hide the eggs. And um, after the eggs were hid, they would basically, and I had, okay, my granny had like 9 children, and so I had a shit ton of cousins, and so when they would be, like, on your mark, get set, and then we would like tear out to try to find the most eggs. And um, after they were counted, um, whoever caught or collected the most would get to pick the first prize out of a tote of like bubbles or water guns or something that they had purchased. And then we would just do that until the kids got tired of hunting.
What was your favorite prize you ever got?
Um, those tubes that had like Hershey Kisses in it.
Okay. So I just thought about something else too, and it's funny. I'm kind of remembering stuff as I go. Did your family ever celebrate Lent or do anything for Lent?
No.
No, it's more of like a Catholic belief anyway. I think like in the Episcopal Church they do Lent, but I never really partook in Lent. I never really partook in like. There's a thing where because today's Good Friday, we're recording this on. You're not supposed to eat meat on Good Friday, um, and then leading into Sunday, they have the traditional was it lamb? Lamb is usually served at Easter. Is that right? I think it's right.
Maybe.
Yeah, because of like lamb Jesus. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, leading up to Easter, uh, I don't know if you realize this or not, but Mardi Gras ties into Easter.
I
Uh,
did not.
yes, which is why they celebrate Mardi Gras or Carnival. It's all based on religion. So what that means is leading up to Easter, there are many traditions that are followed until Easter hits. So Easter actually becomes like a 2 month long process before it actually gets here, which includes Lent, Palm Sunday, and the Carnival, or Mardi Gras. And here's how they tie together. So Lent, if you don't know, Lent is it lasts 40 days. It's a representation of Jesus going into the desert for 40 days. And what you do is you give up something that you care about or love, and you basically abstain from it for 40 days. Some people fast for 40 days.
Right.
Some people just give up chocolate. Some people give up cussing. I drink sweet tea basically every single day. I would give up sweet tea or something like that. Um, Probably not beer, but maybe sweet tea. And it starts on Ash Wednesday. And a period of fasting. It's a period of fasting, reflection, and repentance leading up to Easter. It ends on Holy Sunday, the day before Easter Sunday. And like I said, it symbolizes the 40 days Jesus was in the desert. Now, Carnival, Mardi Gras, which are the same celebration, but they're just depends on where you're at, what they call it. Mardi Gras specifically in New Orleans. Most other places call it Carnival, and it's celebrated throughout like Europe, South America, all over. And
Okay.
it literally means a farewell to meat in Latin. And it's the festive season before Lent begins, where people enjoy food, celebration, and paradise. Mardi Gras, French for Fat Tuesday, is the last day of Carnival, the day before Ash Wednesday. And it's the big party before the fasting begins. So it's basically like a week long super indulgence of everything you
Binging.
can possibly do, and then you give it up for 40 days.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's a long time.
And if I'm not mistaken, and I can't remember exactly what day it is, but there used to be a tradition where men would wear like ties, like neckties to work, and the women would go around and snip the ties off to celebrate or to symbolize 40 days of no sex,
Oh.
as if
Okay.
like the symbol of cutting a man off.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
after that 40 days, of course, they would go back to because it's springtime, like you've got to rejuvenate.
Right.
And then Palm Sunday,
Y'all fuck like onions.
exactly. Palm Sunday happens 1 week before Easter. It marks Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem, where people laid tree palm branches before him. And it begins the Holy Week, the most sacred week in Christianity, which includes Holy Thursday, where the Last Supper, Good Friday, the Crucifixion, Holy Saturday, and then finally Easter Sunday. So that's I think that's interesting how it all ties together.
So the fasting is up until like Easter,
Yes.
and then you get together and have a big dinner.
Which is why Easter is considered a feasting holiday, because because you have to fast for 40 days,
That makes
and then you
sense.
celebrate the end of the fast by feasting.
Okay.
And Ash Wednesday, for those who don't know, is the first day of Lent, which is like we said, 40-day season, and it's a spiritual discipline leading up to the Easter in many Christian traditions. Um, Christians attend church services where a priest or minister marks their foreheads with ashes in the shape of a cross, and the ashes are usually made by burning palm branches for the previous year's Palm Sunday. So they'll have the representation of the palms of laid before Jesus. They'll save them for the whole year when they dry out, and they'll burn them, and they'll anoint you with ashes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep, and the ashes represent morality, which is a reminder of that life on earth is temporary, and repentance is a sign of sorrow or sin for sin and a desire to return to God. And then on Ash Wednesday, typically one main meal and two small meals, and they abstain from meat. It's a day of solemn reflection and beginning of spiritual preparation for Easter.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
So pretty wild.
I thought my family just um, used it as an excuse to get together and eat, but I guess it makes sense because they all go to church.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't follow the religion, I still think it's interesting to know the history of it and how it ties in, and because I believe that, like, you know, to me, like, I'm a history buff, so I like learning about why things are the way they are, even if I don't celebrate them or understand them. I like to understand them more. So I think, like, understanding, like, what Easter actually is and how it began and its traditions kind of gives you an understanding of why people do things today.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Very interesting.
All right, so you got any more thoughts? Any ideas?
I don't think I've spoken out.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys checking out this special episode for us. We got a bonus episode coming this week, and I don't know if I'm going to drop a regular episode this week or wait till next week. Got to wait to see what the little one does about our recording process. So far, it looks like we got one done, so maybe he'll let us get another one done. It's a big one, so come back for that one. All right. Yeah, follow us on Facebook, the Hauntological Society Podcast. Send me emails, the Hauntological Society Podcast at gmail.com. Need those stories, send them up. Follow us on every one of your favorite platforms. Please rate and review us. It helps us get more listeners. We need listeners. Please help us out. Um, Anything else?
Happy Easter,
Happy
and I
Easter.
hope you guys have a lot of ham.
Those of you that celebrate, happy Easter to you. Passover if you're Jewish. Yeah, happy end of Lent. Whatever it is you're doing, happy Ëostre. And I'm Eric.
We'll see you next time.
That's Wendy. We're out.